Once upon a time, there was a grandfather and a grandmother. Every day, the old man went to the mountain for pickup, and the grandmother went to the river for cleaning. One day, while the grandmother was diligently washing dishes by the river, she saw a huge mogul coming out of the river. Domburakoko, sukoko, sukoko. Domburakoko, sukoko, sukoko. Oh, well, this is a beautiful peach. Let's take some home as a gift for your grandfather. The grandmother bent down and tried to pick up the peach, but it was too far away to reach her. The grandmother then said, "The water over there is too salty. The water over here is sweet. Go away from the bad water. Come to the sweet water." She clapped her hands, chanting, "Come on, you lame water." Then the momos clapped their hands again. Domburakoko sukoko, domburaka sukoko sukoko, and came running to the grandmother. The grandmother smiled at him and said, "Come on, you and your grandfather, let's go. Let's share them with your grandfather and eat them together." She picked up the peaches, put them in the tub with the washing things, and carried them back to her house. Finally, late at night, Grandpa came back from the mountain with a brush. "Grandma, I'm back. Grandfather, welcome back. We've been waiting for you. Come on, Grandpa, hurry up and get home. I'll give you something good." "That's very kind of you. What is this good thing?" With these words, the old man put on his straw sandals and climbed up. While he was saying this, the old man put on his straw sandals and climbed out of the closet, while the old woman held up the thigh from inside the closet. "Look," she said, "look at this one. Look at this one. Look at this one. Where did you get such a magnificent peach?" He said, "No, I did not get it. I found them in the river." "What, you picked it up in the river? That's very unusual." The old man put the peach on his arm and looked at it. And then, out of the blue, it split in two. Then, without warning, the momo split in two from the inside and let out a shrill cry, "Oh, oh, 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 oh." A cute little baby jumped out of the tree with a loud and shrill cry of, "Ogya, ogya." "Oh dear, oh dear." Both the grandfather and grandmother were so surprised that they let out a cry together. "We were saying that we wanted to have a baby, so God must have given it to us." Both the grandfather and the grandmother were delighted. Then, in a panic, the grandfather started to boil water, and the grandmother started to arrange the mussels and made a great deal of noise. Then suddenly the old man said, "Yes, yes." The baby pushed off her grandmother's hand. Oh my goodness, what a cheerful little boy. Grandpa and Grandma looked at each other and said, "Ha ha ha ha." They laughed amusingly. They named him Momotaro because they said he was born from a peach. Grandfather and grandmother took great care of Momotaro. As Momotaro grew older, he became bigger and stronger than most children. And even when it came to sumo, there was no one who could match him in the village. But even so, he was kind and gentle and often spoke kindly to his grandparents. Momotaro became a middle child. By that time, there was no one in the whole country as strong as Momotaro. Momotaro wanted to go to some foreign country and try to kill them all with his arms full. Around that time, a man came back from visiting various islands in other countries and told him an unusual and mysterious story. In one of his stories, he said after many years of sailing, there's a place called Onigashima at the end of the ocean, far, far away. There are bad men living behind the hideous black iron, and they are always trying to steal things from the country that they have stolen from. Momotaro told this story. When Momotaro heard this story, he wanted to go to Onigashima, and he could not stay still any longer. So he went back to his house and immediately came in front of his grandfather. "Please give me some time to myself. Please give me some time to myself." The grandfather was astonished. "Where are you going?" The old man was horrified and asked, "Where are you going?" "I am going to Onigashima for a visit to the devil." Momotaro replied, "Well, that's very gallant of you." "Well then, go ahead." "Then, go ahead," said his grandfather. "Well, I'm sure you will be hungry if you go to such a place." "All right, I'll make you a lunch." The grandmother also said, "Well, let's make him a bento." So Grandpa and Grandma got out a big bowl in the middle of the garden, and Grandpa got the iron, and Grandma started kneading. Grandfather took the iron, and Grandmother began to knead and knead. Then she began to knead and said, "Pentara coco, pentara coco, pentara coco." And then she started to make kibadango for lunch. When the kibadango looked delicious, Momotaro's clothes were also ready. Momotaro put on a coat like an samurai would wear, put a sword in his hat, and hung a bag of millet dumplings. Then he held up a cotton fan with Momo's picture on it. Then, holding a soldier's pen with a mom's picture on it, he said, Okay, Daddy and Mommy, I'm off. Then he carefully lowered his head. Then you go and take care of yourselves, said the grandfather. Grandpa said, be careful and don't get hurt. Grandma said, don't hurt yourself. Don't worry, I have the best millet dumplings in Japan. Momotaro said, have a good day, said Momotaro. Tomo and Taro left the house with a cheerful voice. The grandfather and grandmother stood outside the house and watched him for a long, long time. As Momotaro continued on his way, he reached the top of a large mountain. Then, from among the bushes, a dog came running toward them, calling out, "Wan, Wan, Wan!" And a pair of dogs came running toward them. When Momotaro turned his head, the dog bowed to him in a polite manner and said, "Mr. Momotaro, please come back to me." Momotaro-san, Momotaro-san, which way are you going? Momotaro-san, Momotaro-san, where are you going? He said, we are going to Onigashima for the Oniseibatsu. What is that thing you put on your chest? The best millet dumplings in Japan. Give me one and I'll bring you one too. All right, I'll give you one. The dog got one of the millet dumplings and followed Momotaro. After a short distance from the mountain, they entered a wooded area. Then a monkey came out of the forest, yelping, "Kaya, Kaya, Kaya!" A pair of monkeys came running down the slope. When Momotaro turned around, the monkeys bowed politely and said, "Momotaro-san, please come back to the house." "Momotaro-san, Momotaro-san, which way are you going?" He then asked, "Where are you going, Mr. Momotaro?" He said, "We are going to Onigashima for the Oniseibatsu. What is the food you put on your chest?" "The best millet dumplings in Japan." "Give me one and I'll bring you one too." All right, I'll give you one." The monkey got one of the millet dumplings too and followed him. After climbing out of the mountain and passing through the forest, they came to a wide open field. Then, above the trees, I heard a loud "Ken, Ken, Ken," and a kijiji flew over. When Momotaro turned around, the kijiji bowed to him in a polite manner and said, "Mr. Momotaro, please come back to us." "Momotaro-san, Momotaro-san, which way are you going?" "Momotaro-san, Momotaro-san, where are you going?" He said, "We are going to Onigashima for the Oniseibatsu." "What is the food you put on your chest?" "The best millet dumplings in Japan." "Give me one and I'll bring you one too." All right, I'll do it." Kijiji got one of the millet dumplings too and followed Momotaro. Now that the dog, the monkey, and the kijiji had all had a good time, Momotaro was finally at peace, and he began to move forward at a steady pace. Soon they came to a wide open sea. There, he found a boat that had been connected to the water just the right amount. Momotaro and the three karai immediately boarded the boat. The dog said, "I'll be the waterman." With these words, the dog started to row the boat. "I will be the nibbler," and the monkey sat down at the helm. "I will serve." With these words, the kijiji stood at the front. It was a beautiful sunny day, and not a single wave rose above the calm sea. The ship was moving at a dizzying speed, as if it were a gust of wind or a fire. Within an hour, a pheasant standing at the front of the boat, staring out into the distance, cried out, "Look, the islands!" The kijiji, which had been standing in the distance, let out a flapping sound and jumped up into the sky. Then he flew straight into the wind. Momotaro immediately looked out from behind the trees and saw something ticklish, like a spider at the edge of the ocean. As the boat advanced, what had looked like a spider gradually took on the shape of an island. "Oh, I can see it, I can see the stripes," Momotaro said, and the dogs and monkeys all chirped in unison. "Banzai, banzai, hurrah, hurrah," they shouted. As the stripes became closer and closer, the backs of the dogs became visible. In front of a hideous black and white monster, I could also see the shape of the devil's head guarding the scene. On the highest peak of the roof, a pheasant perched and looked at us. And so, while I had my eyes closed, I came to the island of the devil, where I would have to travel for many, many years. Momotaro, accompanied by a dog, and a monkey, leaped from the boat onto the roof of the house. The guard Onino Heihei was startled at the sight of the unfamiliar figure and rushed into the mon and tightened the black and gold mon as tightly as he could. At that moment, the dog stood in front of Mon. He said, "Mr. Ninamoto Mom,